Okay, so I want to start today's episode with a question I'd like you to chew on. What would a strength and conditioning class look like? Or even, what does a strength and conditioning program look like? Because it's something that I'm seeing more and more programs and classes in all types of gyms labeled as strength and conditioning. Or even more modern would be like hybrid training. At best, these programs or these classes are just general sort of programs and training sessions to improve performance, I guess, in like a vague sense. And at worst, these are just kind of burning calories, even though you're moving like what an athlete is kind of moving like, and it's getting away from the whole bodybuilding ideal. I got no problem with this, but it's just not what strength and conditioning really is. So today I'm going to do my best to break down what that is for you from a rugby perspective. And if you're new here, my name is TJ. I'm the guy behind Rugby Muscle. Rugby Muscle is here to reshape the way amateur rugby players treat their strength and conditioning. And I guess there's no better way to do that than to fundamentally understand what we mean by strength and conditioning. If you're down with that, and if this episode helps you in any way, make sure that you rate us 5 stars on Spotify, give it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe for more, and comment below, or hit the 3 dots on Spotify. Leave me a comment, let me know what you thought, let me know if you have any questions or anything that I can clear up. I'd be glad to do that for you. So, strength and conditioning is one of those sort of weird terms. It doesn't quite mean what it says it means. It's like how powerlifting is not really power-based. Powerlifting is squat, bench, deadlift. It's moving as heavier weight as possible, not as powerfully as possible. And then you've got Olympic lifting, which is also called weightlifting, which is not moving the most amount of weight possible. It's moving a clean and jerk and a snatch in like one movement, which really those sports should change their names. And strength and conditioning should really just mean conditioning, because you're conditioning yourself by preparing for a specific outcome, a condition. So for rugby, your conditioning wouldn't actually include your strength work. It would mean getting stronger as you're conditioning yourself for contact situations. So if you understand this, you understand why I probably need to lay this out and get you to understand what strength and conditioning really means. First and foremost, the industry has taken specific athletic training and not just copied it for the general population, but abused it worse than a local club's pitch after a massive mini rugby tournament in torrential rain. And that's because algorithms love this stuff. It always gets tractions like a motherfucker. And now athletes think that this is what they need to improve their performance. And actually, people all over think that that's what they need, and that's going to be the secret ticket for their performance, their outcomes, their body, whatever it is. But really, strength and conditioning requires details and specificity. Right? Fancy and detailed are not the same. Fancy is like parachute sprints, all sorts of banded lifts without any context, and sort of TikTok drills, all that sort of fancy stuff that you see that you're like, does this really make sense? It probably is not necessary. Details is, why are you sprinting today? What energy system are you targeting? Why are you using this specific work to rest ratio? Or why are you doing this exercise in this order? Why are you using this specific exercise? How does this all fit into your weekly structure? Details mean knowing exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how it's going to progress you as a rugby athlete or as a person trying to achieve whatever training outcomes you're trying to achieve for whatever reason you're trying to achieve them. And this can be done without anything fancy at all. I've been one of those tooting this horn for the longest time. I've said that you can keep your aerobic conditioning as simple as mostly zone 2 work on maybe the elliptical or even just running outside. And if you're aerobically weak, you'll notice a huge difference in your rugby performance as a result of a more robust aerobic system. Most of the sessions that we have through Team Rugby Muscle, we're going to feature basic lifts, simple conditioning protocols, and simple to do jumps and sprint work, all this sort of stuff. And we still produce ridiculously impressive athletes with all different schedules. However, this is where the pendulum can actually swing in the complete opposite direction, and maybe the content and the message that I'm producing is kind of guilty of promoting this message. All you have to do is just lift a little bit, run a couple times a week, and stick with it, and you'll get amazing results. And hey, yeah, that's better than doing nothing, but getting half decent results is not the same as the most efficient results as you can get. Sure, it can take you from untrained to decently athletic, but if you're listening to this, chances are that you want more than just okay and decently athletic. Even if you've got just 2 to 3 sessions a week to train, sure, you can settle for okay and be happy with that, but you can also actually achieve amazing things if you pay attention to the details. You want to be stronger, faster, fitter, and more explosive on the pitch. And for that, a just basic plan following like 5-3-1 or 5-by-5, something very generic that isn't built for rugby players, just will not cut it, particularly when you add in everything else, right? Now, let me be clear here. The magic isn't going to be in the gimmicks. It's going to be in the execution. It's in the volume. It's in the load selection. It's in the structure of your week and the exercise selection and how they all sort of interrelate to each other. That's where the real progress can really live. And if you stay consistent with that, that's where the magic happens. Now, this leads me to the next point, right? Consistency is not all that matters. Yes, like you'll hear it all the time. You just have to be consistent and that's what's going to get you results. And that's true. It's not wrong, but it is kind of incomplete. Consistency is the foundation, but what we put on top of that foundation is still like really important. In fact, it's the most important thing, right? It's no use only focusing on getting the perfect foundation for a building if the building that you build is not what you want to build. How many times can I say build in one sentence and get you to understand my point? Hopefully that's enough times, right? My point is here, you can be very consistent whilst getting absolutely nowhere, right? You need consistency with purpose. You need some sort of feedback loop to know that you're improving. You need some sort of structured progression to change it up systematically over time when you need to cover your gray areas, to cover the holes that each program will inevitably have. And you need sessions within a week, with over the weeks and over the months that build on each other. Otherwise, you can be very guilty of spinning your wheels and hoping that just your effort will carry you through. And it will, to an extent, but you're probably going to be leaving a lot on the table. And that's just not training, that's sort of gambling, that's throwing against the wall and seeing what sticks. With this stuff, the devil really is in the details. And this is where we can actually look at pro players and take inspiration from them, and at the same time understand the huge difference and limitations that there are from sort of copying them and working backwards from what they're doing. See, professional players have the luxury of training with clarity. They have a team whose entire job it is to maximize their performance. They've got systems, they've got feedback, they'll have people evaluate where they need to work, structure their programming to cover those areas that they need to work, and guide them the whole way through. This is what you should take from them, right? You don't need their facilities, you don't need their special recovery protocols, and you don't need their schedule or anything fancy that they have. But you can absolutely steal that structure and that mindset and take inspiration from them. This means understanding fatigue. That means managing your week, managing your expectations, understanding what it is that you're trying to improve and how long that's going to take, tracking your lifts, tracking your movements, and seeing your improvement on the pitch as months and months and months go by. That's what the pros do because they have that support network around them. Amateur players can sort of shop online, browse and peruse and figure out what they can do and sort of Frankenstein a program together and just hope that that's going to be the best. And it's going to give them some level of results because just getting generally stronger, just getting generally fitter or faster or whatever those adaptations are can have an improvement on the pitch, but it's not going to be optimal. And if you're short on the amount of time that you can commit to your training, you want to be as efficient as possible. Amateur players, if they're in charge of their own training, can very easily just end up winging it, right? 9 out of 10 players, or even 99 out of 100, will end up leaning into the things that they're already good at and enjoy because they're already good at them and they don't have a contract on the line. They are just training in their own free time because they want to improve. And of course, they want to enjoy their training and they want to improve the things that they enjoy training, so they want to keep doing that. And it can end up being like a self-fulfilling, never-ending feedback loop where these players are often completely unaware of their blind spots until it's too late on the pitch, and then even then they can sort of gloss over them, or at best they're probably wasting their time in areas that they simply do not need to. I personally get a lot of guys who've come to me already really strong, who have previously solely focused on getting stronger, maybe with some zone 2 work because they've seen my stuff and they realize that that's what they need also to improve them on the pitch. I'll get guys and girls as well come to me like mostly following a generic S&C template, or even worse, a sort of bodybuilding routine, and none of this stuff is built for them, all their weaknesses, all their schedules, so it's all sort of Frankenstein together. And it's just so easy to see all of the leaks within their training where they're putting in a lot of effort without much in return, either with physiological qualities or with transfer to the pitch. And I could use my man Nick as a perfect example. He came on board to me with Rugby Muscle as a prop, already really strong, but just not as competitive on the pitch as he would like. Within a few months of training in the areas that he needed, we used use explosive sprints, we use a lot of power work and core work, lots of jumps, focusing on where he needed attention for him as a player. After a few months, he made his semi-professional debut. And then along the way, he still hit a lifetime PB on the bench because he was no longer leaking this energy. And we've recruited more of the sort of explosive musculature that can translate to a stronger bench press without bench press ever being the end goal. And now recently this offseason, he's wanted even more from himself. So he switched to an even more conditioning heavy program over the summer, just 1 to 2 strength focused sessions a week. That is it. And his conditioning has come right up. But guess what? He literally messaged me yesterday to say that he's also feeling stronger than ever. And so working on your weaknesses doesn't just level up those weaknesses to make sure that you've got no weak links in that chain, but then shoring up that chain might actually help you take advantage of the strengths that you do have, particularly when you're not wasting time sort of bludgeoning your head against a brick wall to still make progress when you're already advanced in one area. So let's come full circle here. That's why true strength and conditioning just cannot be one size fits all. I don't understand what a strength and conditioning class can really do if you've got 20 different people from 20 different backgrounds with, 10 different goals, right? That's why in Team Rugby Muscle, we have adaptable tracks with full explanations with every single one, explaining to you why it's there, how to use it. But we also have over 20 programs so that you can find the one that suits you, the athlete, and what you want out of your training as a rugby player. Because what you train for depends upon what you need. And then even then, that will change based on how you adapt over time as well. So for one athlete, it might mean building raw strength to handle collisions because they're weak. For another, it might mean staying light on their feet and being explosive, changing directions. It could be developing aerobic base. It could be a blend of all of those things, and we'll still have to continually sort of switch it up just to make sure that we're covering our bases, because every program is not going to be complete. You cannot just stick with a program forever. There's always going to be weak points that we'll have to shore up and different areas that we'll sort of accentuate and really target over the course of months and months and months. And of course, doing so will also keep it fun, keep it fresh, and avoid staleness. So you need to ask yourself, can you explain why you're doing the sessions that you're doing? Are you actually improving your performance on the rugby pitch as an athlete over time? And how can you tell? Is it just a feeling-based thing? If so, great, but be specific with that. Are you making more carries? Are you feeling fresher between plays? Are you making bigger hits? Those sorts of things. It doesn't have to be quantitative, but it does have to be noticed. It has to be something that you can see that you are improving as an athlete. Because if your S&C doesn't have real answers to those questions, it's not strength and conditioning. It's just gym stuff with some sort of fancy label. And that's fine if you want to sort of just exercise. Those strength and conditioning classes are fine for people that have no goal and just want to burn calories and kind of get strong. Even then, there's going to be a lot of leaks within their training, but that's fine. That's better than doing nothing. But if you want to improve as a rugby athlete on the pitch, particularly if you are limited with your time, you need more than just basics and consistency. You need structure, you need detail, and you need intent behind those things. And you'll still need to strategically change those things over the course of months as you progress to continue to adapt and as your needs, because of those adaptations, inevitably change. So on the surface, this stuff might look really simple, but under the hood, there should be a fair amount going on. Strength and conditioning is not just a label to be slapped on sort of functional style training. It's a process. It's a method of preparing your body to meet specific demands of your sport. The devil really is in the details. You don't need gimmicks. You don't need fancy work to rest ratios or anything overly specific. You don't need to copy the pros or the TikTok tricks that you see on social media. But you do need to train with purpose. And if you're interested in having me personally help you as your coach, I'm available for one-on-one online coaching at the time of this podcast. This is where I'll personally guide you through this whole process, optimizing your schedule as an athlete and as a person, so that you can navigate all of this and stop overthinking, stop the overwhelm and feeling like you're not doing enough. and all you get to focus on is how much fun you have as a better athlete on the pitch. If you're interested in that, head to the link in the description to find out more, and all of the other ways that you can work with Rugby Muscle, and everything that we've got to offer will be linked in the description below. And if you found this episode valuable, please do drop me a comment in the comments below on YouTube or Spotify. I do love reading and responding to the comments. I know this one wasn't quite as practical as some of the other ones, but sometimes we need to get more of a philosophical understanding of not just the tools and how to use them, right? But why we're using them, what the intent is, what we're trying to build here. And I think this episode has done that for you. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you are subscribed to Rugby Muscle for more rugby specific S&C content coming your way. I hope you enjoyed that. Thumbs up, 5 stars, all of that good stuff. Thanks for watching and listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.